You won't believe what I'm going to talk about right now, porch lights, right? You will believe it because you saw the title, even though probably nobody is watching. This is a weird thing. It looks like the timer is, well, I'm going to just go ahead and make this video and I'm going to make it short for that reason. It looks like it could be glitchy signal here. I love porch lights. I knew that I loved porch lights, but tonight I left my office. I was walking down the street, walking back up the street, and it looked different than it does in the day. I love walking outside most of the time. I like driving down new streets I've never been on. I like doing that at different times of the day. I've noticed that I can be very gloomy and sometimes look outside my door, and depending on the way the light is hitting everything, I change my mood. It's funny how like slightly more orange light makes things very, very different, like a very different place. So we have nice, beautiful trees in our yard, but sometimes I go out there and it looks mucky and scummy, and the cold is just too cold, but just too cold and just too humid, and it's icky. But often there's enough variety, which I love, that helps me feel good when I go out and do these things. So I just went out at night because I could have sat here waiting for my next person to come in to my office. But I just love seeing the street lights lit up. It's a fairly busy road um, in the town I'm in. And so, but then I walked further down. There are places where um, people could be laying down because they don't have a place to live. There's changing residences and various business spaces and all that stuff. But despite any of that affecting me, I was also very aware of just how beautiful things look. And the cold and slight drizzle that was going down upon me was more stimulating. It was not the kind of thing that made me feel icky. And it's nighttime out there. So on the way back, I noticed a porch light across the street, across another street, because I could see over two streets because they're at a Y shape coming out to the main road. If that helps you at all, I'm just saying that there is so much out there to change one's mood. And doing this on my Skeptical Spectrum channel is very interesting because I could be doing this on my other channel where I talk about the profession that I do that helps people feel better, behave better, and think better in their lives. I won't tell you what it is. But I want to talk about something uplifting. Um, for me, and not for everybody else, I'm kind of neurotypical. Um, I, I have generally had somewhat of an upbeat attitude. Um, even though it could hide behind my more pissed off, shitty, upset, feeling cheated out of most things in life, and so disappointed and so worried about the future as I get older, and will I be able to always afford this or will I always be able to afford that? But those thoughts and awarenesses are not the only thing that create mood. And so it was just nice. And then I looked at that porch light and I realized something I realize all the time about going down streets. I looked at that porch light and I said, I love that porch light. It just looks just right. It looks like the kind of a welcoming feeling you get when you see, let's say, what do they call it? The Shire, from The Hobbit and all the Lord of the Rings stuff. And you say, why do I like this scene? Why does it seem so welcoming? That's the thing about porch lights is my brain can fall under the illusion that those people have that porch light on because they would just love me to knock on their door and come in and have a drink and some dinner with them, which is not really what it means, but that doesn't matter because that's how mood works. So when I drive down certain streets, and there are plenty of new, well, unexplored streets that unexplored by me that I could drive down on the way home, on the way to anywhere in this town. Um, and it has this aura for me of like someone walking out of the house, opening the door, and they're holding a pie in one hand and a pizza in the other hand, or something like that. And they're saying, "Come on in, Jim, come on in," or "You stranger, come on in, welcome the stranger," right? That's some possibly deeply ingrained stuff from my life watching television and stuff, but it also could be because being welcomed and being not welcomed are deeply ingrained concepts in our minds from evolutionary time, which is like for us humans 200,000 years possibly we've been around, and then other hominids that are very similar to us have been around long before that. So all this stuff is possibly baked in the brain. Is that a friend or is that a foe? If it just seems to do the math in your head and you think friend, you feel good, you feel like opportunity, you feel welcomeness, you feel potential safety, potential enlargement of your clan to protect you and warm you, you know? And the opposite can be felt. You look over there and you say, but I think I happen to I oddly lean toward opportunity seeking, which can get me a lot of disappointments. I'm going to go try this. It doesn't work. I'm going to go try this. I get rejected. I'm going to go try this. But I happen to be very opportunity seeking. I'm not sure that's a trait that other people can't build. It can be something that people I think can learn to build. I wouldn't say a trait because I'm going to think of traits as something that's basically wired in and very hard to get rid of from birth to death, right? 80, 100 years, you'll be that way. But I believe you can massage what would be called a trait by building a characteristic that makes up for that trait or that reinforces that trait. So, but I don't mean to get that technically jargoned. What I want to say is that um, experiment with what makes you feel good. When you don't understand what makes you feel good, don't really worry about it. Figure out how to use it. Figure out how to, for example, if I spend too much time in a day going down blind alleys to see what I can see, at some point I'm going to get really tired. Or I'm going to say, I've seen one too many homes with broken down trailers out front and broken down bicycles and dilapidated yards that aren't taken care of and all that stuff. Even though 5 minutes ago it felt good to see this novelty, this newness. Find out what seems to make you get in a better mood, and then experiment with it because it'll never be a perfectly reliable, I think, strategy. I think there are so many strategies, and that's what I'm pitching here. Try not just like if you like to go drive down dark alleys or not dark alleys, but like streets you've never been on. Remember that it may be different for you depending on other conditions. So at that point, you can start to say, like, what times a day have I explored doing this? What about this? I'll tell you how this has nothing to do with just landscapes and visuals and stuff like that. Let's just put my strategies aside and realize that, let's say, what happens when you get a haircut? Does it feel better than worse most of the time? Does it feel worse than better than most of the time? What happens when you sleep in on Saturdays? Does it feel better most of the time or does it feel worse most of the time? What happens if you sleep in on a day off that you hadn't anticipated? Does it just feel like, no, I should be up and working? Or does it feel like, yeah, this is refreshing? Um, I'm looking at this timer and it's way off. I'm guessing that this video is going to look very choppy and I can live with that. Why did I do this? I also like talking out loud and I like to talk under the circumstances of being recorded because it puts more pressure on me to actually try to think more quickly and speak more clearly, and something very stimulating about it for me. But we'll see how crazy this actual video turns out. I'm going to say goodbye for now.